pressure looks good.
Following up. Roger, roll with planet. Flight downside, speed off.
Yikes. You bet. Okay. We don't need any more of these.
Alright everybody, welcome to the Kennedy Space Center where you are looking live at Launch Complex 39A, where a Falcon 9 rocket is set to try once again to launch 60 new Starlink internet satellites to low Earth orbit. This coverage brought to you by NASASpaceflight. My name is Thomas Burkhardt, an editor for NASASpaceflight, and we are here at the Kennedy Space Center for another launch attempt. If you were here a couple nights ago, you know that this attempt did have a technical issue causing an abort in the final minutes of the countdown last time. And this particular mission is no stranger to delays after several weather and technical related delays. But we've got another launch attempt tonight, / this morning, I guess it's early morning now. And we will be trying again. SpaceX actually has 2 launch opportunities today, the first of which is at 3:24 a.m. Eastern Time, or 8:24 UTC. They also have a backup opportunity at 5:42 a.m. Eastern Time. So there's a potential for, if the first attempt does not work out, a recycle back to another attempt this morning. But we will talk more about that in a little bit. First, I want to introduce the rest of the team. We've also got here at Kennedy Space Center Chris Gebhardt, Assistant Managing Editor of NASASpaceflight. Chris, how are you doing this morning?
I am doing just fine. How about yourself, Thomas?
I'm doing well. We also got some folks back in the studio. Michael Baylor handling the production side of things. Michael, how are you?
I am hardly awake, but I will try my best to press the correct buttons in the correct order this evening. Or this early morning, I guess, for me, and I guess middle of the morning for Chris and Thomas, as it is 3 a.m. or approaching 3 a.m. in Florida right now. And this is, in the past 24 hours, we have already streamed 12 hours straight for the August SpaceX Starship SN10 launch, and we are now adding to that total this early morning with the launch of 60 Starlink satellites. But I will do my best to keep my eyes open.
Yeah, we're all in that boat with you, Michael, but we'll get through it. We've also got Das working some things in the production background. I don't know if Das is on comms. Das, we got you?
I'm here, hanging out.
All right, so that is your team today. We'll also have Stephen Marr and Julia Bergeron out and about at various places at the Kennedy Space Center or Titusville. They'll be capturing some photos and things of the launch. They will not be on our broadcast tonight, but they are out here as well, covering the launch attempt. So this particular launch is just a standard Starlink mission, the Starlink version 1.0 L17 mission, launching on a flight-proven Falcon 9. Falcon 9 B1049 is making its 8th flight this morning. Well, attempt to make its 8th flight this morning. And after launch, we'll be making a drone ship recovery effort on Of Course I Still Love You. This will, of course, be the first Stage 1 landing attempt from SpaceX since the landing failure on the Starlink L19 mission just a couple weeks ago. So there will be some interest there to make sure they can start another successful landing streak and get Falcon 9 recovery back on track. There's also some flight-proven payload fairings on board today's mission, one half making its 4th flight and the other making its 3rd. And there are 2 recovery vessels,
Launch
Go
auto
Navigator
sequence has
and
started.
Go Searcher, are stationed downrange. We also just heard launch auto sequence has started, so go for propellant load, and Falcon 9 fueling will be getting underway right now at T-minus 35 minutes and counting. So that is your recovery status for today. 2 fairing recovery vessels that are actually traditionally Dragon recovery vessels, but the dedicated fairing ships are undergoing some maintenance. So we've got some Dragon recovery vessels out there to scoop fairings after today's launch, and a drone ship recovery on Of Course I Still Love You. This is the latest in a long line of attempts for this particular mission, this Falcon 9 mission, as you mentioned, as we kind of just noticed, Starlink L17 kind of launching out of order. This particular flight had some technical issues. This booster has actually static fired twice before this mission. As they kind of worked through those issues, there was also some weather delays and some weather out near the drone ship recovery area that was causing some delays. And the most recent, or 2 delays ago, was due to that landing failure, and SpaceX opening an investigation to that. What we understand, based on some public comments by SpaceX now, is saying that they experienced some heat entry, some plasma entry near the bottom of the rocket during the entry of that booster, and they've implemented some corrective actions there. So hoping for a successful recovery tonight. Once they resolved that, they did make an attempt a couple days ago. However, that launch attempt was also scrubbed at T-minus 1 minute and 40 seconds or 1 minute and 20 seconds, I think, due to an automated abort. We never got a firm answer as to the exact technical issue related to that, but it appears to have been resolved as they are making another attempt tonight. So that's this morning. I don't know if it's tonight or this morning. I should probably go with this morning, but it feels like a long night for us after streaming Starship all day. So yeah, this particular attempt at 324, they also have a secondary attempt at 542, which is interesting. They're targeting two different orbital planes, neither of which are the orbital plane they were originally attending a couple of nights ago. Normally, from day to day, a launch window for a Starlink orbital plane moves left about 21 to 22 days, or 21 to 22 minutes, every day. And this time actually moved right a fair bit as they changed which plane they were targeting. And SpaceX, in their most recent update, said that that was due to a range or a range conflict, I guess is the right word for that. So don't know the exact details on that, but they're opting to just put this particular batch of satellites into a different orbital plane, and thus has two different opportunities today should the first one not work out. But as of right now, everything on track for a 3:24 a.m. Eastern Time liftoff today. That is the rundown on the mission. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, and if you tag us with @NASASpaceflight, that'll help us see them much better, and Michael back in the studio will help relay some of those to us, and we can try and answer your questions as we enter the countdown. Right now, Falcon 9 fueling should be starting up, with RP-1 kerosene and liquid oxygen flowing into the first stage, and RP-1 kerosene loading into the second stage underway. Michael, do we have any questions or messages to relay from you guys?
Yes, a question from We Are Together. Ever thought of multi-streaming to Twitch? Well, funny you should ask, because if only we actually were doing that right now. If you go to DOS's Twitch channel, Twitch TV/DOS Valdez, there may or may not be NASA Spaceflight on that channel right now. So
There
yes,
is.
we are on Twitch.
Yeah, it's there.
Couple of Super Chats musical wolves. Are birds invading SpaceX rockets? Birds on, of course, I still love you, and tons of birds during SN10's ascent. Yes, the Stoke Air Force, as we call it, was out in full force on Wednesday, for sure.
I'll also point out really quick some vapors near the bottom of the rocket, another confirmation that fueling is in fact underway.
You can see that frost on the side of the liquid oxygen tank continue to rise as the countdown continues, and SpaceX just confirmed on Twitter that they are in fact go for launch. Lex, thank you for the 100 Australian dollars. Thank you so much, NSF, for all the amazing footage today and keeping the ball rolling with the Starlink launch. Doing our best, and you can probably tell I'm tired, but hopefully this will be an exciting launch, and fingers crossed that Falcon 9 sticks the landing for the 8th time.
Yeah, all of us here are very much hoping that that first launch opportunity works out just fine. I don't know how many of us would like to sit out here until 5:42 for the second attempt. Right now, there are some low clouds in the area, but based on hearing the countdown net, they haven't mentioned that as a concern, so it's possible that they're not in violation. I think I'll yield to Chris G for some expertise on that in a little bit here while he sets up some other cameras. But as of the latest weather forecast was a 90% go, so hopefully weather should cooperate for this morning's launch attempt. We'll give you some more updates as we have them.
Yep, and as you can probably imagine, Thomas, what do you think most of our questions are about right now? Starship SN10?
Yeah, I would imagine so. A brief recap to try and address as many as you can. Yes, the landing legs failed to deploy properly, and thus it was not a super successful landing, although we don't know if that's the only thing that happened during the final couple seconds of descent. And after landing, it experienced a rapid unscheduled disassembly, but the flight was still a major success and a huge step forward for Starship, the first kind of soft touchdown of a Starship vehicle. And that's pretty much the entirety of what we know. So if you have questions with more details than that, I can't promise that we'll know the answers. So.
Question from Stefan. SN10 skirt had a pretty big fire on landing. Is anything known on a failed landing? Like Thomas said, there the landing legs, from what we could see on the videos, did not seem to lock into place. To me, I don't know about you, Thomas, but to me, after watching it back, it did seem to me like the landing itself might have been a bit hard. I mean, the landing legs obviously
Maybe,
were not
yeah.
locked into place anyways, but on top of that, to me it did look like it maybe touched down slightly hard. And I think Scott Manley was doing some like frame by frame analysis. He concluded that it touched down harder than the previous SN5 and SN6 landings. I'm not sure if that was expected or not, but that's how it goes.
Yeah, I guess what we don't know is if the legs had deployed successfully, was it still soft enough that it should have landed and remained upright?
Exactly.
We don't know exactly how strong those legs are and how much of a harder touchdown than normal they can take. So it's hard to pin the exact cause. Hopefully we'll get some more info from Elon in the coming days or so.
Can we expect changes to Falcon 9 refurbishment after the booster was lost?
Yeah, so I'm going to try and summarize from the best I know the details that SpaceX did share about that landing failure. They were talking about something called a boot, which is a sort of, it's just a component in the engine bay that I guess experienced some more, I don't know what the right word for it. It's just a little bit more wear and tear, I guess, over the course of its that booster's launches, and thus actually ended up failing and allowing some plasma into the engine bay, which of course you can see how that might go wrong. I believe they have said that they are just tweaking their refurbishment processes and inspection processes to make sure that they look for that particular component and adjust as necessary. It should be, sounds like a pretty straightforward fix, but it does sound like they're actually adjusting it by looking at that component and knowing that that's a particular risk that they have to look out for. Also, I believe we've got Chris G ready to join the comms after setting up some cameras. Chris G, I want to bring in your expertise here on the weather. What we're experiencing right now look like to you as far as a range violation would be concerned? Is this something Falcon 9 can launch in, or do we need this to clear up a bit?
You might be muted.
I was muted. Talking
There you
while
go.
muted. There we go. Yeah, because we do have a low cloud ceiling, right? But clouds in and of themselves are not actually an issue for the Falcon 9. It's only the ones that produce lightning and stuff in our torrential afternoon thunderstorms, or ones that might be thick enough that they have freezing precipitation within them. Not what we're concerned about today. Low clouds like this are not a concern for the Falcon 9. In fact, they've been lower. The very first Falcon 9 that actually launched from this very pad, you could not see the top of the lightning tower the day that it launched, but it launched just fine. As for the sort of spitting, kind of like misty rain that we're getting, that actually doesn't count as rain for the purposes of what we mean by rain when it's a range violation. So this, actually, as like nasty as it is, and like we'd love to have a clear sky, perfectly fine for the Falcon 9.
We have a question from CPL Daywalker. Chris, what is the wind speed that tree is blowing hard?
The tree is blowing hard. I'm not sure exactly what the wind is at. I think our little weather overlay could give us the knots.
3 knots? That's not that bad.
Yeah, it's
I'm not sure that's entirely accurate.
Yeah.
It's not. I was just thinking that. But in any regard, the wind is also not a concern. As breezy as it is sometimes, the Falcon 9 has a pretty high wind constraint for liftoff, which we're not violating today. In fact, even with all of this, it's like a 90% chance of acceptable weather. And obviously they're fueling, so they're pretty confident.
We have a question for you specifically, Chris.
Oh.
You mentioned that a Starship successful landing would send shockwaves through the industry. Does that comment still stand given the post-landing red?
I think it does, because and I appreciate this question, because even though it was on fire after it touched down, right, indicating that there is something that they need to fix there, that in and of itself doesn't take away from the technological and operational feat of successfully executing the flip and burn landing and getting itself back to a vertical position for a soft touchdown, which is what they had today. The landing legs obviously didn't work quite as designed, but we know they're moving away from that. So yeah, I don't think the rapid unscheduled disassembly or RUD or explosion that it undertook after landing is a setback at all. I think whatever that is a fairly easy fix for them moving forward. The biggest thing was a stable descent and landing. So yes, I do stand by the statement that it would send shockwaves, and today, I think did. Yes.
Yeah. CPL Daywalker asks, how about SN10? I might have missed the context to the actual question. I think it's a follow-up question. But thank you for the $50 super chat. If you want to clarify in chat what the context was, I'm sorry, I'm super tired, so I might have missed
No.
something.
Michael, it's just like, how about that SN10? Like, you know,
Oh, they
what
want
do
a
you think of
reaction.
SN10? Yeah.
Oh.
That's what it is.
Okay,
Okay.
there you
go. My reaction. Well, I mean, I think you can rewind the video because I think you can hear like my exact reaction as it was happening. They're like, no, oh yes, baby. I don't know. No, that's pretty much what my reaction was. Overall, after the fact, I think it goes back to what we were just saying, like that. The SN8 doing as well as it did kind of shocked a lot of people in the industry. It succeeding in landing today was like the game changer moment, right? Because it was, can it land the way they want it to for rapid reuse? Yes or no? And the other big thing is, can it achieve on orbit refueling? And those are really the two things that make the system what it's promised to be. So the fact that it succeeded today, I'm very, very happy. That's my reaction. It was a wonderfully successful step forward.
Yeah, I think I'm mostly in the same boat there. I am, of course, disappointed a little bit that it, exploded several minutes after
Yes.
landing. I wish that hadn't happened. But, overall, you have to remember that that's still a huge step forward, and I think we kind of knew the landing legs were a problem, so if that really is kind of the main issue that they experienced today, we also know, and I kind of mentioned this on the other stream, we already know that they've been working on fixing that. So I'm not worried about that being an issue going forward, and I'm excited to see them do it again with SN11, so...
Yep, and CPL Daywalker also had another super chat where they said any data is good data. You learn more from problems, and they also became a member. So thank you so much for all your incredible support today. Axie says, go SN10, go Dash Wade, wrong rocket again, go Internet Rocket Go. Liz Clark, Chris Fan Club. Joe says, watching Starlink on Starlink. There you go. We had a super chat like that last launch attempt.
I have a feeling the number of those types of chats are going to start increasing as more and more people get Starlink.
And you know what I can't wait for is when we have people telling us that aren't in the US and Canada. Yes. Because there's our 20-minute vent. Yes.
So Falcon 9 clearly technically happy as the countdown continues nominally. That is our normal T-minus 20-minute vent as the ground support equipment continues its countdown.
Stage 2 RP1 load is complete.
The weather also cooperates.
We just heard the RP1 load is complete, I believe, on stage 2, if I heard that correctly.
Stage 2, yeah.
Yep.
Can y'all, Chris and Thomas, can y'all hear that okay? Do we need to turn that up? Or?
Yeah, I heard it perfectly, yeah.
All right, good deal.
They
Chad,
just
how about y'all?
I was waiting for a verbal response for a second, and then I realized that's not how that works. But yeah, they did just wrap up RP1 kerosene load into second stage. At T-minus 16 minutes, they'll begin loading liquid oxygen into the upper stage, and that can actually kind of explain that T-minus 20-minute event. That was them purging the lines that go to stage 2 of any remaining RP1 kerosene, so that they can now use those lines to pump in liquid oxygen. So as they finish one, they start doing the other, and Falcon 9 countdown continuing nominally.
Yes, yes, indeed. Continuing nominally, and just want to point out, I know he's busy setting everything up, so I won't make him talk. But Stephen Marr is here, getting all of his gear set up for photography as well. And I think you covered it, Thomas, but Julia is off-site, shooting from off-site this early morning here in Florida. Yes. Nevertheless, the team was not deterred.
Listen, you show up to enough scrubs for a mission, you make sure you're here for the actual launch. You can't just stop showing up, right? So you're committed at this point.
couple more super chats. Thank you to Connor for the support. We also had Michael with £10 for the coffee fund. The coffee fund is definitely going to be needed for Christy and Thomas this morning, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Adam with
You bet,
another
concur.
£10.
Yeah,
Saying thank you guys for the great work you do. Watched you all day yesterday for SN10. Now hoping to see Starlink fly. Keep up the great work from Plymouth, UK.
Look
think,
at those vapors. Wow.
Oh, yeah, wow. It looks like, I mean, it's not that windy because it's kind of loitering around.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, so
that's-
it is kind of humid out, like Christy's mentioned. There's some sort of mist in the air, though it's kind of died down from that. But atmospheric conditions
Thankfully.
giving us a very dramatic T-minus 20-minute event today.
This is definitely one of those days where it depends on where you are, because a difference of 10 feet can be quite dramatically different in terms of wind speed on the ground tonight. Yeah.
Not to jinx anything, however, these weather conditions are also pretty good for sound waves to travel through the
Yeah, I
humid
know.
atmosphere. So I'm not going to get my hopes up too much because we know this mission's history. But if it launches in 17 minutes or so, sound might be real good tonight.
Yeah, and we're hoping for good sound tonight because we're literally going to see it for like 15 seconds before it disappears into the cloud deck.
Also that.
But, yeah.
Hopefully, they will have fixed that first stage camera. The SpaceX said on the previous attempt that the first stage camera was not working, so we should not expect that. But hopefully, they've gotten that fixed for this attempt because once Falcon 9 heads into the cloud, that is probably going to be the only camera view. Although sometimes the SpaceX feed has some expensive cameras, so we'll see what we get. But you'll see what we see. Let's see. Alejandro, thank you for the fund towards my bed. I appreciate that. Chris G and Thomas, what are your apogee predictions for Starship SN11?
Stage
Stand
2
by.
LOX load has begun.
There you go.
All right. Right on time at T-minus 16 minutes, which is what we like to hear. Predictions for apogee of Starship SN11. Do I have to pick one number or can I guess a range? No, that's cheating. You know what? Just for giggles, 12.5 kilometers. Because I love the 0.5. I don't know.
All right, I'll take the other option, 10 kilometers. Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, the point will be to likely repeat SN10's flight with the addition of a more successful touchdown, which means that they won't dramatically change the apogee. They could go between 10 and 12.5 or something like that. They could maybe go to 15 or something. But outside of that, that's kind of their limited options. So I will guess 10 kilometers.
I'm going to go with 50 kilometers. I feel like they've kind
Ambitious.
Well, I just feel like they've gotten the 10-kilometer flight down. I mean, the only part they haven't really fully sticked is that very final part of landing now. But even on the SN8 and SN9 flights, everything was perfect except for the final flip and the landing. So I feel like the ascent portion and the descent is something they may want to start pushing the limits on more. If that makes sense.
And so we talked about this before SN10 did actually fly. Weren't we kind of expecting, even if SN10 was like picture perfect, that they would likely repeat that flight profile again? Or even then, were you saying that you think one would be enough? Because
I mean, I think they've already done 3 that have been fairly successful.
Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. I think I disagree with you, but it's certainly a possibility. We'll see.
One way to find out. They still need to stick the landing. They have not stuck a landing yet.
Yeah.
They suffered through barely a landing that was
Good,
Let's
not
put it
great,
this
right?
way: we
Yeah,
knew
they
not
still
to
need
go
to
to
do the landing.
replays.
Yeah, exactly. We knew to keep watching the rocket because that was not a. They need to continue working on the landings. So I think they may stay a little bit lower instead of going too high. But who knows? It's SpaceX. Elon might say, and this one's going, to Timbuktu or somewhere. I don't know.
But you know what today really did demonstrate, honestly, is why, it's very rare for rockets to catch fire in their operational state, but it does happen. sometimes, and that's why when you see those things happen, why we get really, really nervous, because that's what can happen in the blink of an eye. I remember,
Yeah.
was it last year, Thomas, that the H-2B caught fire on the pad at Tanegashima?
Yeah.
Last
Yes.
year or 2 years ago. I think it might have been 2 years ago. One for the
Yeah, and
ISS.
that was even more like heart stopping because it was hydrogen involved. But luckily that did not lead to an explosion somehow. But yeah, that's why whenever you see that, we get really, really nervous and know, yeah, we should stick with this.
Yeah.
You can see on Fleet Cam right now that well, we can see one of the fairing catchers there, but actually both of the normal dedicated fairing catchers are in port currently as they continue to make some potential modifications. They've removed both of those back arms, and we'll see what changes they make. But Go Navigator and Go Searcher, the two Dragon recovery vessels, are filling in and are positioned downrange to recover the fairings from the water for this mission.
Also, a quick clarification of the overlay there. We are at the KSC press site because we are at 39A. We are not at the ITAL Causeway. Sometimes we forget to switch that between launches.
Yeah.
Just clarifying that, but we are here at the Kennedy Space Center for pad 39A for today. One of SpaceX's two pads. Interestingly enough, and I can say this because we're here, at 39B, just to our left, the pad that will play future home to SLS. All of the pad xenons are on, so maybe doing some work. Well, they can't be working on it right now because they'd be in the exclusion zone. So I don't know why all those lights are on, but it looks kind of cool. And then they've also got the lights on over at Slick 40, which is SpaceX's other pad. So lots of cool pad xenon lights on around the Space Center tonight.
A couple more questions. Do we know if the first stage exploded in flight or crashed into the ocean during the previous Starlink landing?
I believe our best guess, obviously we have very limited information and sort of footage of this, but I believe our best guess was it was mostly burning and or falling apart shortly after that entry burn. We saw a lot of plasma in the final frames of that landing attempt, and then the small amount of footage we did get from the drone ship on that attempt showed a sort of a faint glow of something burning on the way down rather than the ignition of Merlin engines for a landing burn. So that kind of suggests that the entry burn is where all that damage, or right after the entry burn is where that damage took place, and the booster was likely not fully intact from that point forward. So probably during the descent is where the stage encountered its issues.
We just saw a quick view of the drone ship there, and it looked like there were no signals on drone ship deck, so that is a good sign.
They're gonna sneak in.
Aces, thank you for the $50. You are a regular contributor to the stream, so we appreciate that as usual. CPR Daywalker with another super chat as well. Mika, also another name who has continued to support the stream today. Thank you so much. Mel says, thank you so much for enduring the marathon of the last 2 days. I deeply appreciate your hard work and all the coverage. Steven, thank you as well. Quentin, I'm just trying to get through all these before the launch. Thank you for saying, well, being that SN10 is flown, I guess we should start when hop SN11. Yes, definitely. I expect SN11 to roll out to the pad within the next couple of days. Well, I shouldn't say next couple of days, but the next several. Okay, now that I should retract my statement, and I should say that it might depend on the actual anomaly with SN10 and if they have to make any design changes, but my understanding before the hop was that SN11 was ready to roll out within a few days. But again, because of what happened with SN10, they may decide to leave SN11 at the production site to make some changes. So we'll see how that plays out. I don't know how to pronounce your name because it looks like it's in Japanese, I think, but thank you so much for the support, Aaron, or maybe it's Korean, I'm not sure, I apologize, but I appreciate the support. Aaron says $5. SN10 appeared to have an unextinguished fire on the way down before landing. Yes, I saw that too. It actually looked like there was some fire from the right-hand side on some of our angles of the village before it landed. I'm not sure what caused that. Might have just been some venting propellant getting ignited, but something interesting to see. And then CPL Daywalker asks, is this going to the northeast again, Thomas?
Yes, this launch, like all of the standard Starlink missions here from Cape Canaveral, do fly to the northeast, kind of along the eastern coast of the U.S. So that means it is also visible, weather permitting, from places like Georgia or the Carolinas, as Falcon 9 makes its 53-degree inclination orbital insertion to the northeast of Kennedy. Yes.
Cool. And how high could Starship fly without super heavy in terms of leaving Boca Chica and returning? Any guesses?
Well, I don't think I need a guess. We know that a stripped-down Starship could theoretically make orbit with no payload and no ability to get back, so Starship could certainly get to space and back. However, if we're talking about lateral distance, like across the ground, well, I don't know. I guess it depends on what kind of flight profile you want to fly. But if we're talking about altitude, Starship could do a suborbital up into space and back hop on its own with no super heavy booster.
And it sounds like the first stage camera is still down from what people in chat are saying, so we will see what happens, but we might be stuck with an animation a couple of seconds after liftoff if the cloud cover blocks the ground-based cameras and the first stage camera on the vehicle is not working. But we will see what we get. At least the drone ship camera is working, it seems like, so we should get a nice shot of Falcon 9 landing.
I will do my best to track the rocket until it hits clouds and then track the orange glow of said rocket afterwards.
But yes, to answer a question we got in chat, the first stage is being recovered on, of course, I Still Love You. The other drone ship, just read the instructions, is currently in port getting some upgrades done. I'm not sure exactly what, but we have seen some construction activity on JRTI in Port Canaveral on Fleet Cam recently. I mean, basically every question is about...
Stand by.
Stage 1 RP1 load is complete.
There you go.
Basically every question we're getting right now is about Starship. I think that's understandable, and we have seen a lot of Starlink launches, and there will be a lot more Starlink launches, so I'm kind of just going to let this roll because everybody wants to hear about Starship right now. No, lots of questions about what went wrong with SN10 if you're just joining us. We have no new information to report. I imagine in the days to come, Elon and SpaceX will add more information. Here's a question, Thomas. Will Starship come to Florida, and what pad will it launch from?
This one, yes. SpaceX is constructing a Starship orbital launch mount as well as a landing pad. Actually, they've already finished the landing pad because it's just a pad of concrete at Launch Complex 39A, where this mission is launching a Falcon 9 from. So once Starship is ready to become operational and super heavy as well, not only will they be launching from Boca Chica, as well as potentially some offshore landing platforms like Phobos and Deimos that we've reported on before, they are also having a land-based launch site here at the Kennedy Space Center.
Pressing for strong back retract.
Starship, that'll be for Starship operational missions after development completes in Boca Chica. You also just heard that call out. The strong back is starting to retract just a little bit in preparation to throw back at liftoff, but another step in the countdown as we are at T-minus 4.5 minutes before launch.
And a question from Drew, can I see this from New York?
New York.
Strong back lower has begun.
Did we have you there, Chris?
Yeah, we can't hear you, Chris. Sorry. We'll get Chris reconnected here for a second. But to answer the question, no, this launch is likely not visible from New York. You're a little too far north for this launch to be really visible. Kind of as far north as the Carolinas is when you get to see good visibility of these. If the weather is crystal clear, maybe, but I don't want to promise anything. I don't think so.
Indie Racing not asking what are the odds of some flaming seagulls this morning. Well, we didn't see any when they showed the drone ship a couple minutes ago, so
Yeah,
hopefully,
hopefully not.
yeah, hopefully no flaming seagulls. Space Guy, glad to hear that you enjoy our coverage, and then Greg completes the super chat queue, which gets us all cut up with super chats as we approach T-3 minutes. So let's start focusing on the task at hand, which is 60 Starlink satellites heading to orbit. Thomas, any final comments as we enter the business portion of the countdown?
Right now, everything appears on track for, like you said, launch in just about 3 minutes. Should a hold occur at any point here, that would warrant a full recycle of the countdown, which, unlike most other
Contact
missions, they
complete.
actually could do as they continue to finish loading. However, everything on track right now. We will address that more if it comes to it, but hopefully not necessary to utilize a backup attempt today. But they
Stage
do
1
have a
lock
bit of an
load
extended
complete.
window today. And Stage 1 locks load complete as well. But right now, we're going to do our best. There is some load cloud cover, but we'll try to bring you the best visuals. Also, we can bring in SpaceX cameras if we need to. But stay tuned for a liftoff of Falcon 9 in just about 2 minutes here, the version 1 L17 Starlink mission.
Is everything good on your end, Thomas? You know what settings change on the camera before launch?
Yeah, really quick, I know I'll adjust some gain and things. Do you want me to change the shutter speed for launch? I forget.
Yes. We want the shutter speed to be 100 or 120, I think.
I think 120, right? I'll get on that. Yeah, right
Try
before liftoff.
try 100.
100,
Yeah,
you got it.
Drop the ND filter, I think,
Yeah.
right at liftoff.
Yep, you got it.
Cool.
We're playing with our new broadcast camera, chat. We're trying new things. Hopefully it'll look good.
It's got a lot of buttons and switches.
It's got a lot of buttons and switches.
Stage 2 locks load complete.
Michael, we got audio off that camera?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Pictures coming in. We do have audio. We're good.
Cool. And it's a stereo?
Yes, it's stereo.
All right, good deal.
systems are good on our webcast. Famous last words, but cross our fingers and knock on
Ground
wood.
gas closeouts.
And we're at about T-minus 1 minute, Thomas.
Falcon 9 is in startup, the final minute of the countdown. Everything appears nominal at this time.
We will find out if the cursed Starlink version 1 L17 mission finally launches in about 40 seconds here.
T-minus 30 seconds.
Still counting, so that's good. Under T-minus 15. T-minus 10.
There we have stage 1 ignition. And liftoff of Falcon 9 version 1 L17 Starlink mission from 39A.
Finally.
I think that's all we're going to see on Thomas's camera.
Was that a Vandenberg launch? It immediately went to the cloud deck.
And they have lost the camera on space as well because
Wow.
the rocket does not have a first stage camera that is functioning. So
It's an ASMR launch here today.
enjoy the audio, folks. Looking at a view of pad 39A, and Thomas, maybe flip that filter. There you go. That is Doss's favorite shot, a bit earlier than normal.
Way early,
We're
yeah.
on Falcon 9. We're still getting absolutely nothing on the SpaceX feed, so we're showing this.
Well, it sounded good, guys. I tracked it for all of 2 seconds, but you know, it is what it is sometimes. But finally, the mission is off the pad. We'll keep you updated. So far, the flight appears nominal. Falcon 9 will be pitching downrange to the northeast of Kennedy Space Center on its way to orbit.
Can you all hear me this time around?
Yeah,
All
Chris, we
right.
gotcha.
All right, that's good. Yeah, I'm assuming since we're on an empty pad that there is no feed from SpaceX either?
No, there's.
Because there's nothing, because the camera doesn't work on stage one.
That's
Yeah.
Chris. The feed for the SpaceX is just black. They do not have an animation because I don't think they are used to not having a camera feed.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
We do have telemetry on that feed, so we can confirm that the flight is proceeding nominally so far.
I mean, on the other hand, the sound was impressive.
The sound was impressive. I hope chat did that come through nicely on the microphone? I know we've been working on that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely got it.
Fixed the mic issue from last time.
Cool,
Yeah.
it was beautiful.
You
So
You
the
can pull that
other ones-
audio, Michael, so we're not getting the echo.
Hey,
Yeah.
look, we have an animation. Thanks, SpaceX. Appreciate it.
Yay!
So Falcon 9 first stage approaching MECO at this point, getting ready for staging of the 2 stages.
And hopefully, as second stage separates, we will get a camera back here in a couple of seconds.
And there is main engine cutoff, and there we've got an onboard view for the second stage. Stage separation confirmed. And there is MVAC ignition on stage 2. This will be the first of 2 burns on the upper stage for today's mission. Meanwhile, stage 1 will start to reorient itself for its landing attempt on Of Course I Still Love You, which of course we will not have any camera views of. Unfortunately, rest in peace stage 1 camera, but we will keep you updated anyway.
It's the seagull cam. The seagull cam's going to tell us.
Did the seagulls sabotage the stage 1 cam? Is that what we're going to?
There go the fairings.
There go the payload fairings. Very
Fairings
nice.
confirmed.
Go navigator and go searcher will attempt to recover those fairings from the water.
And Falcon 9 second stage breaking into the internationally recognized boundary of space there, crossing the Kármán line at 100 kilometers. But still a long way to go before we're in orbit.
You can see they don't have a stage 1 camera, but they do have the stage 1 telemetry, of course, on the bottom left-hand corner. So watch that altitude on stage 1 as it continues to rise towards its apogee, and then it will fall it will continue to fall at an increasing rate of speed after reaching apogee as it heads back into Earth's atmosphere and prepares to land on, of course, I Still Love You.
Meanwhile, the second stage continuing nominally towards its initial parking orbit, as stage 1 coasts towards its entry burn. Of course, there will be a lot of focus on stage 1 entry after the most recent mission, hoping for better success this time.
And that was apogee at 118 kilometers.
Right there.
Yep.
Which is the normal apogee we usually see for Starlink launch, so that is all good. And we'll see that telemetry slow down as the entry burn happens. We're not going to actually see the entry burn with the cameras, but we should be able to see it happen in the telemetry. I find it quite funny that the one launch that actually needed the first stage camera in the last many Starlink launches from Florida was the one that had the clouds.
We'll never say that Florida's weather doesn't have a sense of humor.
So was that worth traveling at 3 a.m. to see, Thomas and Chris?
Actually, yes. The sound. The sound.
The sound was pretty good, so you win some, you lose some. I'll take the sound today.
I mean, there were like a series of really like louder than the rest of the ambient noise of the rocket events that hit us. It was really cool. Yeah, it was worth it. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, the clouds do really amplify it a lot. So if there is not going to be a launch to see it because of cloud cover, the one effect you do get is that sound getting carried through it, getting kind of contained by those clouds and echoing throughout the surrounding area is kind of cool.
And we should
Do
be
we-
coming up on the entry burn, correct? In,
Yeah.
in half a minute or so?
You can see it on the timeline on the SpaceX overlay right there. It looks like a couple of seconds away now.
And you'll be looking at that stage 1 telemetry on the bottom left, looking for that speed start to decrease suddenly. That'll be the sign that the engines are firing retrograde to slow down, and there you
There it
go,
is.
stage 1 entry burn startup.
Yeah.
Can y'all see the entry burn?
One.
No, Das, no we cannot.
You tell us, you're in North Carolina.
Yeah, you might have a
Yeah,
better
right.
shot than we do, Das.
I'm inside right now.
And we don't blame you.
It's been a long day.
All right, and you can see the entry burn shut down there. The vehicle now slowing because of the
Both
the
vehicles continue
aerodynamic
to follow
pressures
nominal
around it.
trajectories.
There we go.
So hopefully get a call out for the landing burn start up next as Falcon 9 continues to head towards the drone ship.
You can actually
Right now-
see stage 1 telemetry continuing to slow down now that atmospheric drag is doing a lot of the work. This is also a good sign, as on the last landing attempt, we lost stage 1 telemetry.
Stage
after
one
the
entry
maneuver, which, of
transonic.
course, Stage 1 entry is transonic, below the speed of sound. Since we still have telemetry, that means they did not encounter that same issue as they did last time, because, well, you lost the telemetry link when the stage broke apart. So, stage 1 on its way to, of course, I Still Love You. Standing by for the landing burn.
We'll see if we get some video of that. Sometimes we do.
Yeah, hopefully from the drone ship, yes.
Yep. There's the landing burn.
Stage 1, landing burn startup.
Terminal guidance.
There we go.
Stage 1, landing leg deploy.
Come on, legs, do better than SN10.
Yeah, right.
Well, telemetry looks like a successful landing, but we don't have the video quite yet. They usually get that back.
Stage 2
seconds
FTS is
after
saved.
landing. Stage 2 continuing to be nominal. Standing by for confirmation on the landing attempt.
Stage 1, landing confirmed.
And stage 1 landing confirmed. Excellent.
Seco?
We'll stand by. And there's stage 2 shut off as well, so stage 2 in its initial parking orbit as well. We'll stand by for some images of stage 1, but they did confirm a successful landing. So
Expected
Falcon
loss of
9 back
signal,
off the
Kate.
winning streak as far as landing is concerned, which is always a great sign.
Nominal orbit insertion.
Woohoo!
And nominal orbit insertion. So this particular stage, 1049, will be able to make a 9th flight after it returns to Port Canaveral, tying the fleet leader of the Falcon 9 fleet.
Acquisition of signal, Newfoundland.
A successful liftoff there. So the stage 2 will be doing coasting for a while now. There will be a second stage 2 burn prior to spacecraft deployment. Right now, stage 2 in there, that extended coast phase.
And I'm continuing to monitor the SpaceX feed for a shot of the booster, but we're not getting it so far. Just continued up here. I think we're about to get it, maybe. We're at the animation. There we
And
go.
there is an
There
image
it
of
is.
B1049 right smack in the middle of Course I Still Love You. A beautiful shot and another successful landing. Good to see.
So with that, is it time to get some sleep, everyone?
I think it's time to get some sleep, everyone.
Our next big broadcasting event should be NSF Live on Saturday, our normal time, 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. No launches currently scheduled before then. Of course, Boca Chica will be what Boca Chica is, and maybe something will come up. Who knows? We'll keep an eye out for SN11 rollout or something like that. But there'll be daily videos. But I know our editors are working on summary videos of today's test flight for SN10, so those will be up on the channel soon. If there's any live events to cover in Boca Chica, we will bring coverage of those. The next Falcon 9 launch here from Cape Canaveral, I believe, is no earlier than Sunday evening with a Starlink L20 mission from the neighboring Space Launch Complex 40 to our right over here. So that will be coming up as well, so stay tuned for all of those events. And thanks for joining us for a very long day of excited SpaceX and spaceflight stuff. between SN10 and today's launch. Just thanks for hanging out with us, and thanks for all the support, the memberships, the super chats, and people who just hang out at channel, people who just tune in. We really appreciate all of you, and thanks for hanging out with us for such an exciting day.
Yeah, a couple final super chats really quickly. Derek, thank you for the membership. Greg, thank you for the support. Yeah, the footage of the Falcon 9 landing is a bit inconsistent. I think they're continuing to work on improving the camera stability on the drone ship. Sandy says, great stream. Thank you for the kind words, Sandy. Kylie, another compliment on our coverage today. We appreciate your words
Expected
as
loss of
well.
signal, Bermuda.
And hopefully we will be back for SN11 with another great Starship stream. Sam, congrats on making it through launch at this time of day. More coffee money for the two of you at the Cape. So, Thomas and Chris, there you go. Matt saw stage 2 startup and stage 1 entry from here in Beaufort, South Carolina. So if you are in that
We told
area,
you DOS
make
had a better
sure-
chance than us.
Yeah. If you are in that South Carolina, North Carolina area, next Starlink launch at night, make sure you are looking towards the water because you might see a Falcon 9 heading towards the drone ship.
Luke,
And
I'll
that's a
do
really
that.
Cool shot. Look at that from the SpaceX feed.
Yep.
The sunrise.
Look at that shot. Oh, that looks so cool. Oh, and then of course they cut away to it. That was a
Of
cool
course
shot.
they cut away, yeah.
12
I will,
minutes, so they're over the North Atlantic right now, heading out toward Ireland. Okay, yeah.
Yep. I'll do that one day. I'll get out to the coast and we'll have a coast camera for an entry burner or something like that. But today is not that day. That's not the day I'm going to do it.
I'm sorry, North Carolina robot win?
Yeah, exactly, right? There's a lot of robots in North Carolina. You should see my garage.
And that's where the robot army really is.
Yeah.
Well,
We're out of brains right now. We're going to need more brains before we can deploy anymore. So,
Yes, indeed. But I think that's our nice joking way of saying we know that. I mean, it's a gorgeous orbital sunrise taking place right now. We know the mission still has about 45 minutes until it's completed with Starlink separation. But it's been a super long day for the team. Thomas and I, also cannot physically stay at the press site for that long after a liftoff. This late at night, security is already waiting, shall we say, to make sure we leave. But it's been an absolutely wonderful day. Thank you to everyone who has been with us since, almost 7 o'clock this morning, Eastern time. So thank you truly to everyone who stayed with us today. It was an amazing day all around, from Texas to Florida. A good day for SpaceX all around, but I think that's going to start to wrap it up here for us at NSF. We're going to call it a day or two.
sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, and stay tuned, of course, to our social media. We will confirm the end of today's mission with the successful Stage 2 relight and spacecraft separation, but that will be on our social media platforms. So, yeah, just another big thank you to everyone who tuned in, and we'll see you guys next time. So, Thomas Burkhardt and Chris Gebhardt from the press site will be signing off. Thanks, everybody.
Chamber pressure looks good.
Doubling up. Roger, roll, Atlantic. Flight downside of speed off.
Yikes. You bet. Concur. We don't need any more of these.